Happy Thursday, Thrivers. It is the last Thursday in September of 2024. We are about to start the final quarter of the year. So I don't know where you are, but in Kentucky, it's been still pretty hot. And so we're just starting to cool off. It doesn't really feel like fall yet, but it is getting there. Thrivers, I have a question for you today as we get started. My question for you is, how good are you at bothering other people and letting other people bother you? So, my thought today is all around independence. And as I have really had to evaluate how independent I am in my life, I have always been independent. But the reason I want to share this is as I continue to have these conversations, especially with our undergraduates, students, the next generation of thrivers, I think the world is teaching us to be too independent. Now, there are people that know me that are going to laugh to hear me say that. And I really have been spending some time lately thinking about the importance of healthy independence versus an independence that is truly not serving who we are and who we want to become. So, that question, I want you just to really think about that. And we're going to ask it a couple of times of, are you comfortable bothering others and letting others bother you? And why is that important? So, just recently, I've had so much kind of going on. I've had these opportunities coming at me that are very different. And I have struggled. I have struggled. And so it is not easy for me to be vulnerable and say, I need help. I need advice. I need support. Or even I need a friend who will keep my dog on a long day. So thanks to my friend Sandy, who I know is listening, but those kinds of asks are harder for some of us than for others. Letting people help me. I am not good at letting people help me. So I want to challenge you and really to have conversations with the people in our lives that need to hear that and need to be coached that vulnerability is not a weakness. Asking for help is not a weakness. We were truly built to be seen, heard, and understood. And I would add loved. So we were built to be seen, to be heard, to be understood, and be loved by other people, and to do the same for others. That we know you've heard me talk time and again about just how essential and foundational and important our community is. But we have to acknowledge that we are living in a world, in a society that is still really celebratory of being independent. And I think that we have taken that maybe a little too far, that we celebrate that the more independent you are, the stronger and the tougher and the wiser you are, and the better able you are to handle life. And I think that's false. That is probably a pretty big lie that we are all telling ourselves. And so, whether we're talking to young people who need to be encouraged to let other people help them, let other people help them choose the classes they're going to take, choose the college they're going to choose, and choose what kind of career going forward. Now, I think that's a great example. I had a conversation just this morning with a young lady who I also encouraged not to let the world tell her what she should be doing. So I think there has to be some wisdom in discernment, if you will, but the independence that we are celebrating isn't a healthy independence. I think that what we need to be celebrating is when we are able to bother others, quote unquote, and let other people bother us. So I'll stop there and I'm going to ask you to think about the last time you had someone, quote unquote, bother you. Like someone asked you for help. They needed your advice. They needed your assistance, whatever. They needed you to keep their dog or they needed career advice. Whatever that looked like, how did that make you feel when someone else needed you? How does it make you feel? I know that when someone needs me, it fulfills something in me. It gives me fulfillment to help other people. It brings me joy. It brings me gratification and satisfaction. And so I want to encourage you to allow others to have the same satisfaction and gratification and fulfillment that they need in order to help you. So when other people get to help you, when other people get to help me, because Lord knows, y'all, I am talking to myself right now as much as I'm talking to you, that I really want you to realize we were meant to help other people. So let other people help you, and you ask for help from other people. Because when it really comes down to it, what we are seeing today and what we know is that loneliness is a result of too much independence. Our fear of letting others help us, our fear of being seen as weak by asking for help from other people. So, what I challenge you to really think about is this epidemic of loneliness and depression and mental illness. And we know scientifically that it is tied to our lack of community. And when we are able to really connect and help others and be helped by others, we are bringing our vulnerability and we are allowing ourselves to build productive, rewarding relationships. And recently, and I think this is where some of this idea came from that I wanted to share this topic with you and some of my thoughts on it is I was reading, and it's the author Brene Brown, which many of you are familiar with, but she said, that talking about healthy independence, vulnerability is the core, the heart, the center of meaningful human experiences. So again, talking about healthy independence, but then also stepping into the acknowledgement that our ability to be vulnerable with other people, to help others and for others to help us is the core and the heart and the center of meaningful human experiences. Real relationships like that, where we can be vulnerable and we can ask people for help. They take time, they take effort, they take our energy. We know that. And it's important that we are willing and able to put that time in and not let the world tell us that we are stronger and better on our own by ourselves being independent. It's just not true. And so these young people that are listening and that you as listeners have opportunities to pour into and to talk with and encourage and mentor and coach, they need to hear that we are intended to be seen, heard, understood, and loved by other people. And as we exit that student experience and move from student to professional, student to adult, it becomes harder to establish some of those relationships. And so we find ourselves much easier falling into some of that I'm independent, which leads to I can do it all myself. I don't need anyone to help me, which leads to loneliness and depression and a little bit of a sense of loss. So I'll encourage you to really think about how well you are bothering other people and letting others bother you. My guess is that for many of us, we are much better and we actually want others to bother us rather than our ability to actually bother other people. Ask for the help, ask for the advice. I got on a Zoom call a few weeks ago with someone and I cried because it was just really he asked a deep question, and I was able just to say, you know what? I need some advice. I need help unpacking this situation and understanding what direction to go and, where I'm supposed to be. And that is letting my independence down. That is letting my guard down, my vulnerability down. And so I'll encourage you to think about how independent you are in this independent driven world that we live in. This world is creating loneliness, and we are here to combat that and to fight that, and to know that when we show up as our authentic selves and we build strong, healthy relationships with other adults and people who are different than us, people who are ahead of us in their experiences and their age, that really creates the community that we need in order to thrive, in order to live inspired, fulfilled, and empowered. So I will encourage you to bother someone this week. Ask for help, ask for advice, ask others to ask you for help and advice, and don't be afraid to do the same. So that's my quick and independent lesson for you today on this last episode of the month, the Thriving Equine Professional. I appreciate each of you so darn much. It's been such a fun summer. I've got some really cool guests lined up that are coming at us. And again, I'm working hard to really kind of crack into some new connections in the decade of the 20s. So send me your Gen Zers. Y'all have been so good, and I'm meeting some new people. We're going to get some new stories and experiences told here, highlight some new and different careers. So if you're not caught up, don't miss an episode and stay tuned because we have amazing things coming ahead. So, with that, I wish you a happy Thursday, Thrivers, and we'll see you back here, same time next week. Go bother someone, okay? Cheers. Have an awesome day.